the next hour, join Steve and his guests as they talk about topics geared to educate and inform his audience. Listen as Steve brings his unique experiences as an author, business leader, teacher, and law enforcement professional to the conversation. Together with outstanding guests, Steve asks the questions that make a difference in his listeners' lives. You're guaranteed to be better off after you listen to the Kovacs perspective than before his show started. So, sit back, relax, and see what his show can do for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kovacs Perspective Talk Show. And yes, I'm Kovacs, Steve Kovacs. I'm very happy to be here with you. Hey, our topic today is divorce. Divorce. Statistics say, ladies and gentlemen, different things depending on who's doing a particular study. That's real famous in politics. As an example, one study may say Democrats, 29% of Democrats feel a certain way. Another study may say 12% of Democrats. Another study may say 69% of Democrats feel a certain way. So statistics really vary, ladies and gentlemen, depending on who does them and some other factors. But one study that one statistic I've never seen really vary that much is that about divorce. It's pretty, not almost, ladies and gentlemen, every statistic I've seen says about 50%, half of those that marry divorce. 50%. So look around yourself. You're not doing anything wild now. You're at a computer screen, or when you listen to this in a podcast, think about all the married people you know. Most of them are the people that you know, ladies and gentlemen, probably if you're like me, are married. If you're over like 29, I guess, and I'm certainly over 29, only by a year or two. Okay, I'm lying. But I mean, half of those people are going to divorce. And listen to this, you're going to fall out of your chair. Statistics get a little bit worse now. If you're on your second marriage, what do you think the statistic is? The statistics are that you're going to end up getting divorced. Well, let me tell you, between 60 and 67% of second marriages end up in divorce. Now, wait a minute. You're going, wow. No, the wow ain't done yet. We're still going. If people who married for the third time, 3 marriages, what do you think it is? 73% divorce rate. I guess what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen, is that divorce is common. And by the way, that makes me kind of think Larry King. You guys know who Larry King is, right? Famous talk show host. Matter of fact, I think he's just getting ready to retire, but he's on I think it's his 8th marriage, and I'm not exaggerating. I don't think it's his 9th, but I believe it's his 8th. So if we follow statistics, right, his present marriage should last about, 27 minutes and 11 seconds? I'm just kidding, but you get my drift. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about divorce. We're going to talk about if you have issues in your marriage, are they financial issues? Because I think what we're going to find today, that financial issues is a cornerstone of a lot of divorces. Or is it emotional? Are they emotional difficulties, problems going on with a troubled marriage? We're going to discuss that. We'll also discuss, ladies and gentlemen, specific areas of divorce. And we all know these areas, right? Child custody, major issue with divorce. Child custody. And it should be. Kids are everything. If you're married, and my humble opinion is, you have children, that should be, again, we're going to talk a little bit later more about this, but in my humble opinion, that should be the main priority for everybody. Children. But anyway, we're going to talk about child custody, dividing bills. Well, that's fun, huh? Who likes those? But you got to do them, right? You got to do that. How about belongings? You got to divide those, right? I mean, okay, that photo's mine. This one's mine. No. That kind of thing. We're to discuss that. Our expert guest for today is the author of Getting Out of Limbo, a self-help divorce book for women. So if you happen to want insight into the topic of divorce, or ladies and gentlemen, if you have friends that are dealing with divorce right now, and you probably do, all of us know somebody that's going through divorce, you must stay tuned, because you got to find this info out. And when are we going to find that out? You're going to find it out in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
We'll be right back with Steve and his guests right after these few messages.
When you open a book, you can explore new worlds, meet new friends, and discover new adventures, like the ones in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Impossible!
Are you prepared for what awaits you?
To find out more about the wonders of reading, you can visit the Library of Congress website at www.loc.gov and let your journey begin. This message has been brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? Hi there, I'm Andrew Hoffman. I went on this website called inventnow.org. Then I decided to make an invention of my own. It's called the Lost Cat Magnet invention. So you can get your cat back after you lost it. Just turn it on, and lost cats stick to it. That's a good cat. If your cat was hiding up in a tree, it won't be up a tree anymore. It will be stuck to the lost cat magnet. And sometimes they fly toward you in the air. Just listen to one satisfied cat. See, that's proof. You should go to the inventnow.org website too. But just remember one thing. Don't do a lost cat magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Morning, gentlemen. Want to hear our specials?
Sure.
First, we have the seafood special. It's been sitting around here for a week. We're known around these parts for our food poisoning.
Wouldn't it be great if you could be warned of life's risks? If you have diabetes, you can. It's called A1C, a simple blood test that can help measure your risk of complications such as heart attack. To find out more, go to www.diabetesaonc.org. Brought to you by the American Diabetes Association, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation International, and the Ad Council.
And now back to the Kovacs Perspective.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us again after a little break here. My name's Steve Kovacs, the Kovacs Perspective. We're going to be talking about an important topic. It's all about divorce today, and our guest is the author of Getting Out of Limbo. I love the name, and I'm looking at a picture of the book now. I have not read the book. I'd like this author to send me one, hopefully for free. You know, I'm cheap, but just kidding. But it's a great title and a very interesting graphic. It almost brings out emotions. You have to look at this book. It's interesting. Getting Out of Limbo. And our author's name is Diane Teagarden. How are you, Diane?
I'm doing great tonight, Steve. How about you?
I'm doing okay. And as I've told the folks out here, Diane, I'm looking at a picture of the cover of your book. And, you know, there's clouds and there's like a blue sky and there's like, it's a little bit ominous and it's a little bit stormy. But somehow I look at that and it looks manageable to me. So whoever picked that, whoever did it, I think did a justice, because I believe, and tell me I'm right, that this is a positive book for people that are dealing with divorce.
Absolutely. That's why I chose the picture, and that's why I wanted to portray is that this is a book that if you haven't decided whether you want to get a divorce or not, there are some things that you can think about while your heart is making up its mind, because I'm not one to try and push people or try and convince them of how they feel. Only they know how they feel, and sometimes it takes years to work through everything that's keeping you in a bad marriage. So instead, what I suggest, and I couldn't agree with you more, the number one reason why people get divorced is over money. Now, some people out there that have been done wrong, as they say, will think, no, it's adultery, but it's not. It's the number one reason is because things don't work out financially. And so the very first chapter of the book, which has actually been used standalone as a teaching tool to keep couples together, is called Financial Independence.
That's the first chapter?
That's the very first chapter, is Financial Independence. And the reason why I want people to learn about the money is because generally in a relationship, one person is making more than the other person. Generally in a relationship, you're getting into the relationship usually people don't talk about finances first thing. What they're doing is it's the hormones, it's the love, it's the chemistry. So you're not thinking about, can I live with this person? What are their habits? What are their bad habits? What are their spending habits? So what I try and do is empower people to learn, first of all, what kind of assets they have, because a lot of times you're looking at your finances and you think, God, I don't have any money, or I don't have the money to get out of this relationship. And what I want people to do is to learn how to deal with that in an unfearful manner, and to learn how to work together to learn about their finances and deal with their finances and live within their means. And a lot of times that straightens out, what the yelling and screaming is about, what being tense, not being able to enjoy your marriage any longer. A lot of it hinges upon whether you're, spending more than you're making. So that's where I start the book, and that's where I start teaching couples and teaching individuals. How do I figure out how can we live within our means?
Okay, now Diana, let me stop you there. Now, when do we do that? Do we do that? Should we do that after the quote unquote honeymoon's over, after the passion kind of settles down, or do we do this just right before we're going to do a divorce, or do we do this when we're getting along great? When should a couple start this?
I think you should do it as soon as you start living together. Now, so I'm not making, again, any value judgments on how people decide to cohabitate. But once you move in together, okay, you are putting everything that you both make into a communal pot to spend out of, so you should have at least once a month, usually when the bank statement rolls in. I think that's a good idea. A lot of people don't know how to do their bank reconciliation, and that's one thing that you should, get to know, because if you think you have so much in the bank, and you go to your bank balance, it's going to be different than your checkbook balance, because not all the checks have cleared as soon as you write them in your checkbook. And if you don't write withdrawals or additions into, deposits into your checkbook, then again, you're not going to know where your money is at. So how do you know how much to spend?
But do you find that many, Diane, or most, or very little amount of couples don't have that communal savings or checking? They have their own accounts. What do you see more of? Separate accounts?
I think once well, it depends. If you're cohabitating, you usually have your own separate checking accounts. Okay. But if you're both, usually what happens is one person decides to take care of the money, so to speak. One person is in charge of, because somebody has to know what's going on. And if you both have separate checking accounts, then you still don't know between the two of you if you have enough money to pay the bills. So if you have a co-checking account, then usually one of the people decide that they're going to be the one to pay the bills, and the other one knows nothing about it. And I think that that's a bad place to be.
Well, it is a bad place, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Because what if you're in trouble, right? What if you go through that divorce? I mean, Diane, and tell me if this has that. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure you've seen this, where the divorce happens, and whether it's the husband or whether it's the wife, they have no idea who the garbage collector is, right? Or how much we pay for electricity, et cetera, et cetera. So not knowing can really cripple you almost.
Exactly, especially say, let's just put a sample couple together, and let's say in this particular case the man is handling all the finances, okay? So how can he say you're spending too much money shopping when she doesn't even know how much you have?
That's true.
Right? Same thing with the man. If the woman happens to be the one that, let's say she works at a bank, or, she's a bookkeeper or something, so she says, it's okay, honey, I'll just write the checks. He really doesn't know how much he can go out and blow on a weekend with, if he's out with his friends, or if he's deciding even to buy her a gift. I mean, how do you know how close to that edge you are unless you're both involved? And yes, both people don't have to pay the bills, but at least both of them should be involved, saying, okay, honey, this is how much we had at the beginning of the month. These are all the bills we paid, and this is how much we have at the end of the month.
Gotcha.
Simple.
Now, Diane, you said, which I've heard before, but I Diane, actually thought that it wasn't factual anymore. And I'm glad you straightened that out in my mind, at least, that most divorces are caused by financial